sometimes you need that reset. Oh.
And Bader just unloads on this one, deep left field, and that one is gone as Bader.
A Karen decided it was a good idea to steal a home run ball from a little boy.
Crazy week for clowns making absolute fools of themselves at sporting events in the stands.
A Phillies fan grabbed a kid's birthday home run ball, and the cameras caught every second. What happened next turned a simple souvenir into a firestorm. The stadiums make good, a $5,000 bounty, and an online hunt that keeps naming the wrong person. Tonight, we break down the moment, the breakdown, and why in the age of 1,000 phones, entitlement never wins. One swing changed the whole night. Fourth inning in Miami, Phillies versus Marlins, and Harrison Bader turns on a pitch that rockets into the left field seats. You can feel the crowd lean as the ball sails, one of those arcs that tells you it's not a maybe, it's gone. It drops into a small scrum of arms and hats, and a dad named Drew Feltwell reads it perfectly. No fumbling, no tug of war, he snares it clean. He doesn't bask, he doesn't pose, he pivots instantly to his 10-year-old son Lincoln. Birthday week. That matters. The kid's eyes say everything. Surprise first, then that stunned, glowing grin you can't fake. It's the kind of little miracle baseball promises every now and then. A father gets the souvenir, the kid gets the story, and for a second the whole section becomes a family.
That's the etiquette.
Everyone in a ballpark just understands. If there's a kid, you let the kid have the moment. And here, nobody even had to be told. The dad made the call before anyone else could blink. It should have ended right there, with a memory tucked into a glove and a birthday running on rails. But celebration turned into static almost immediately. A shadow from a few rows over, a voice cutting through the noise, and a claim that would ignite the entire stadium and the internet within hours. She arrives late to the play, not with a glove, but with volume. From a few seats over, she storms in, eyes locked on the ball, already in a kid's hands. "That's my ball," she shouts. Close enough to rattle, the section turns, phones tilt. You can feel the air change. The dad doesn't square up. He doesn't posture. He holds his ground for a beat, then tries to reason with her. She doubles down. "You took it from me, you took it from me," over and over, like repetition can turn a claim into a fact. People nearby start filming, because that's what crowds do now. Document first, debate later. What the clips show is simple. He secured it clean and gave it to his son. What they don't show is any moment where she actually had it. He makes a choice. Only parents fully understand. Protect the memory, not the object. Don't teach your kid that birthdays end in shouting matches. He hands the ball over, call it conflict avoidance, call it graceful, call it a gut punch for a 10-year-old who is already holding his miracle. The section exhales, but the damage is done. A sweet moment just got dragged into a power struggle under stadium lights. And that's exactly when the story leaves the seats and hits the feeds, where etiquette, entitlement, and 1,000 opinions collide. The clip detonates online in minutes. One angle becomes 3, then 10. Feeds on X, TikTok, Reddit loop the same moment. A kid cradling a souvenir and an adult demanding it back. Comment sections light up with the most universal rule in sports fandom. If a kid's in the mix, the kid gets the keepsake. No committee, no debate, just common sense. But there's always a contrarian corner. A few voices argue proximity equals ownership. It bounced near her row. She brushed it first. He should have handed it over. That sounds persuasive until you remember how ballpark chaos actually works. Near isn't possession, almost isn't a catch. In every replay that circulates, the sequence is the same. Clean scoop by the dad, immediate handoff to his son, confrontation after the fact. No tug of war, no shared grip, no moment where the ball is hers and then taken. So the conversation splits into 2 lanes. On one side, etiquette, empathy, a kid's birthday, and a dad choosing calm over pride. On the other, technicalities stretched thin enough to see through. And that's why the tide turns so fast. People aren't just judging who touched rubber and leather, they're reacting to behavior under pressure. Grace versus grievance, memory versus meltdown. The internet can't return a moment, but a ballpark can fix a vibe. And inside Lone Depot Park, officials were already moving to do exactly that. The stadium steps in before the comment wars even finish loading. A Marlins staffer weaves through the aisle with a gift bag and a fresh ball, kneels to Lincoln's level, and turns a sour scene into a small ceremony. The section warms up again. Strangers clap. You can feel the tension drain out of the row like someone opened a valve. The message is simple and loud without a single announcement. The kid gets his night back, and then it gets better. After the final out, the man who started all of this with a swing makes sure it ends the right way. Harrison Bader meets Lincoln and hands over something no scramble in the seats can buy, a signed bat from the player himself. Not a scuffed souvenir that bounced off concrete, but a memento with a story etched into it. The bat isn't just wood and ink, it's a receipt for kindness. It tells a version of the night the internet can't argue with. Drew's decision looks smarter by the minute. He traded a flare-up for a memory. Lincoln doesn't go home replaying a shouting match. He goes home replaying a handshake and a promise he'll retell for years. That's the difference between an object and a moment. One sits on a shelf, the other grows, every time you tell it. Inside the ballpark, the story got its fix. Outside the ballpark, a different storyline was already taking shape. Names flying, rumors stacking, and a wave of misfires aimed at the wrong people. The internet didn't just chase the clip, it chased a culprit. Within hours, comment detectives started tossing out names, screenshots, and half-baked leads. A school district even had to step in and say, "No, that's not her," after strangers tagged them like it was open season. Another woman with a similar name posted that she'd been flooded with messages. Wrong person, real consequences. That's the part outrage never budgets for: collateral damage. Then came the rumor spiral. Posts claimed a woman in the video had been fired, complete with confident captions and zero verification. Fact-checkers weighed in and stamped it false, but the cleanup always trails the mess. People remember the accusation, not the correction. And once a name trends next to a villain label, good luck putting that toothpaste back. Here's the reality. The woman in the video hasn't been confirmed. No official ID, no verified statement. Just a face in a 5-second confrontation being molded into a character the crowd can boo. The behavior on camera is fair game. Inventing a backstory isn't. That's the lesson the internet keeps failing. Sleuthing isn't truth, and rage bleeds. If you point at the wrong person, you don't just miss, you wound a bystander. Meanwhile, the kid's night is already fixed. Inside the stadium. Outside, the story is mutating into bounty offers, big gestures, and a snowball that brands want to push. And that's where the plot serves, from misfires and misidentifications to money on the table, a signed apology challenge, and a promise that would take the family far beyond Miami. Money enters the chat, and the story shifts gears. A major sports collectibles company throws down a $5,000 offer, not just for the ball, but for a gesture. Return it to Lincoln. Signed with 2 words, "I'm sorry." It's part bounty, part public reset button. The message isn't subtle. The ball isn't the prize. The apology. Overnight, a scuffed souvenir becomes a litmus test for accountability, and the internet loves a redemption arc almost as much as it loves a villain. Then the stakes go from cash to memories. Entrepreneur Marcus Lemonis steps in and promises the kind of make-good no souvenir can touch. A World Series trip for the family, and an RV to turn the whole thing into a story they'll retell for decades. That's gasoline on the narrative. What started as a 5-second flare-up in Row, whatever is now a national kindness campaign, brands and benefactors competing to rewrite the ending. And through it all, the dad's original move looks smarter and braver. He traded a confrontation for a cascade of kindness. He protected his kid's night and somehow triggered a chain reaction that made the moment bigger, not smaller. It's proof that one calm decision can outscore a loud one, especially when a child is watching. But there's a larger lesson hiding in plain sight. This isn't the first time a crowd has chosen the kid over the clout. We've seen this play before in other arenas, with other adults who thought proximity meant permission. And that's where the pattern comes into focus. Crowds have a rule they don't write down, but always enforce. If there's a kid, the kid wins. We've watched it play out in every arena, built in the smartphone era. The US Open hat fiasco proved it. A grown man snatched a signed souvenir meant for a child and got shredded so hard he had to backtrack and return it. Same script, different seats. Proximity isn't permission. Possession isn't character. The public judges the attitude first. That's because modern venues are truth machines. 1,000 angles. Instant replay from 6 rows up. No he said, she said survives when 10 camera rolls sync the moment. You're not just in front of your section anymore. You're in front of millions. If you act like the rules don't apply to you, the receipts appear before you hit the parking lot. Against that backdrop, Drew's response stands out. He didn't perform for the cameras. He protected the kid. He even told people not to pile on. "Please don't do anything to that lady." That line reset the tone. He refused to trade a birthday for a battlefield. And the internet noticed calm beats clout chasing. Grace beats grabbing. So the pattern is clear. When adults fight kids for moments, they lose more than the object. They lose the room, the narrative, and whatever goodwill was left. The crowd will always side with the childhood memory, and that's the pivot that sets up the real takeaway. Why souvenirs fade, but stories don't, and why choosing decency is the only move that scales. This whole saga isn't really about a baseball, it's about choices under pressure. One person chased a win in the moment, another chose a memory that would last. In a world wired for instant judgment, those two instincts write very different endings. Ego makes noise, decency travels farther. The cameras change everything. They don't care who you think you are, they capture what you do. And once a clip escapes the seats, it grows teeth, amplified reactions, bad guesses, and the kind of rumor mill that hurts bystanders who had nothing to do with it. That's the part we keep failing. Outrage aims wide. Collateral damage isn't a footnote, it's the cost. So, the rule is simple. If a kid is in the frame, choose the kid. Choose the smile, not the squabble. Choose the story that gets better every time it's retold. Souvenirs sit, moments compound, and the internet, for all its chaos, still recognizes the difference. In Miami, calm turned a birthday detour into the best night of the season. A bat, a handshake, a memory that beats any scuffed ball. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because someone decided not to make a scene. One decision decided everything. In the end, a dad chose calm, a team chose kindness, and a kid got a story that outlives any souvenir. One loud moment tried to hijack a birthday. A dozen quiet choices wrote a better ending. That's the scoreboard that matters. If a ball finds a child, let the memory find him too. Because in stadiums where 1,000 cameras turn seconds into history, grace wins, ego burns out, and the clip you create follows you home. Choose the moment you'll be proud to replay. When entitlement steps up to the plate, it never survives the replay.